How's it going, everyone? Tugi here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Boston Bruins GM mode. In this episode, I will recap what we have done at the trade deadline. Now, we won't be doing any simming. I want to show you guys what this team now looks like, what the outlook of this team is, really what the plan is, the overall plan, and I want to give you guys a chance to give your feedback. The plan is simple. We've made a shitload of moves. We sent Ryan Spooner and Teemu Blomqvist, who we just drafted in our first draft this past season, to Winnipeg for Harkins and Tom Blomqvist in a 6th round pick. It might not make too much sense now, but I'm telling you, in a matter of minutes, once I explain this all, I think you guys will find that this is a pretty decent trade. A little bit nervous giving up Ryan Spooner and Blomqvist, but Blomqvist not exactly expected to do much. He doesn't have a very high potential, but he did have a lot of trade value. Second trade, it's a doozy. We trade Joe Thornton back to San Jose, along with David Jones and 2 others. To be honest, I can't remember who they are. But we acquire Joshua Ho-Sang, Nikita Jepilovs, and the big name that's not there is Matt Nieto, who we'll get a look at later, is having a great year. He might not be able to replicate that now that he's in Boston. I imagine he was playing with Couture or Pavelski in San Jose. The next trade, it's kind of a minor one. Frankie Vatrano to the LA Kings for left wing Matt Mistelle and a 4th round pick. Again, that will make sense in a couple of minutes. Next up, we trade Zach Trotman to Chicago, along with 2 fourths for a left wing prospect, Graham Knott. Not exactly the biggest deal in the world, but again, it gets rid of Zach Trotman, who's struggling. We make another deal, sending 2 fourths and a 6th to Nashville for center prospect Nathan Tremblay. Again, all of these will make sense in a second. Another trade with the LA Kings, sending Zach Phillips for center Matt Schmalz. Again, it all makes sense in a minute once you guys see what I am looking to do. We send Matt Irwin and a 4th round pick to Edmonton for center Liam Murphy. It may seem like we're picking up a lot of centers. Again, just stick with me on this. And then we have the big one. Zane McIntyre to the Arizona Coyotes for center prospect Ty Bellhaber. Here's the deal. I tried like hell. I was given like Radim Vrbata and a 2nd round pick for this prospect. They wouldn't take it, but if I plugged in McIntyre and just McIntyre alone, they would take it. He started to pick up momentum in the past couple of weeks during the sim, but it's time to roll with Subban, and the fact is, unless we trade Rask, we're going to end up trading Subban eventually down the line as well. There's just not a spot for them when we already have an elite goalie, but we get another center prospect in Ty Bellhaber. The next pick, or the next trade I should say, Radim Vrbata to Columbus for center prospect, or not really center prospect, Michael Chaput, and a 3rd round pick. Not a bad little pickup. Chaput will be on this team. And then the other big one, David Krejci and Colby Cave and a 3rd round pick to the New York Islanders for Travis Hamonic and Josh Bailey. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, giving up David Krejci, but again, it'll make sense in a minute. We get someone. I tried like hell to get Oliver Ekman-Larsson from Arizona. I tried to get Justin Falk from Carolina. Teams just would not budge, which is why you see a lot of draft picks involved, maybe some overextending to get certain players and to get certain deals done. I do have it on, the hard setting, and if you're not going by a team's trading block, which again, 95% of teams don't want to give up anybody, you really have to overextend. But David Krejci is now a New York Islander. Travis Hamonic is here to play with Torrey Krug. Josh Bailey is here as well. Next up, we have a minor deal, Noel Asiari and Ben Sexton for a 3rd round pick. We have another deal, Jason Chimera, Matt Calvert, and Matt Lindblad for a group of picks. And the last trade, Cal Clutterbuck, Brian Gibbons, and Ben Hanowski. Again, Gibbons and Hanowski depth for more draft picks. So as you can see, we have had a massive turnover. Now let me show you what this team looks like as a whole and explain to you guys just what exactly is going on. We'll start off with goalies as we always do, and Tuukka Rask is still our starter. Malcolm Subban now the backup. And really the idea here is you're going to see it really focuses more with the forward positions. The concept or the idea that hovers around the Detroit Red Wings organization. They don't exactly live up to this. Actually, before I forget to, contracts offered. I just offered a couple of free agents some spots, a couple of depth guys. We did sign some unsigned players to deals, but that doesn't carry them over to the AHL yet this season, so we had to plug in a few holes so guys aren't playing with just random AHL signed players. Anyway, as far as Detroit goes and the idea of their organization, you would always hear like, okay, you know, they have Datsuk or they have like Thomas Holmstrom. Thomas Holmstrom's not leaving until the guy in the AHL, essentially their version of Thomas Holmstrom, which I guess you could say was just an advocator, is ready to be called up, and then Holmstrom goes. So essentially, we have our guy on the main NHL roster, and in the AHL, we have that guy who we are grooming to replace him. So essentially, when Patrice Bergeron goes, we have his replacement already groomed in the AHL and ready to go. And you'll see that a little bit more, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go through this. But again, as far as goalies go, it's Rask and Subban. In the AHL, it's nothing crazy. We have Lars Volden as a backup. He still has good potential, but he's 24. And then Ludovic Weber will be the new AHL starter, 78 overall at 20 years old. Again, I'm extremely happy with this pick. He was a 4th round draft pick for us. Here is the defensive core. Now again, that kind of Detroit theory, that Detroit method, doesn't exactly apply to defensemen, but in a way it does because we have so many defensive talents. But as you can see, right now, Torrey Krug, still our best defenseman. He is rivaling the likes of Drew Doughty and Erik Karlsson in points. He's been amazing for us. Jason Demir is still struggling. We're going to have him on that second pairing. Travis Hamonic, who we just recently acquired, of course, sending David Krejci over, is in theory going to be playing now with Torrey Krug. Not the best point total, not the best plus minus, but I really got a feeling he's going to be able to hold it down for us. And in real life, with the trade speculation surrounding him, obviously going from New York to Boston wouldn't help in that real life situation, but he's a solid pickup for us. A very affordable contract, $3.86 million. We still have Luke Shen, Joe Morrow's here. We called up Linus Arneson now that Trotman's gone, and then Kevin Miller is going to be our true 7th defenseman, our true depth guy. We will take a quick look though at the system. We have Colin Miller there, we have Wickstrand there, so I imagine Kevin Miller won't be around for too much longer because these two guys are close. They are ready. Tommy Cross is never going to cut the NHL, but I'm going to keep him probably as the AHL captain for years to come. And then we get into our prospects. First up, we have Brendan Carlo, projected high potential to be a top 4 defenseman, a 73 overall already at 20 years old. He is going to be the future of this defense. We have Jared Hauff, who we just drafted, only projected to be an AHL top 2, but that's essentially a 7th defenseman, 71 overall at 21 years old. We have Jeremy Lauzon, another one of our big picks, another high potential top 4D, 19 years old, a 70 overall. Jakub Zaboral, again, high potential to be a top 4 defenseman. Mikulovic, who we just drafted this past season, a 6th round pick, projected to be a 7th defenseman. That's not too bad. Again, for a 6th round pick, that's a hell of a find. Sean Day, our 1st round pick. Again, high potential top 4. Austin Strand, our 3rd round pick, top 6. How many more do we have? We have Kevin Davis, a 7th defenseman. Jason Bell, a 7th defenseman. And then our last one, Tyler Nother, who might not cut it out. He might be a 7th defenseman, but that's okay. But there you see our prospect pool, and we'll sort it out by how many guys we have. We have 4 guys who are projected to be top 4 defensemen. Now, it's not to say we're going to keep all of them. If we do make progress, we might trade them down the road. But if we decide to keep them right there, that is the future of our defense with these 4 guys, 19 and 20-year-old players that are going to grow into staples of the NHL, defensive core. You're going to see these guys throughout this entire series, and to have 4 of them on the same team is insane. But of course, if we want to make a cup run, if we start to turn it around a little bit sooner than we expected, because of course we have blown it up, and you'll see that more in the coming minutes. We have blown this team up. But if we decide to make a cup run, we can trade 1 or 2 of these guys. We have all of these players who are projected to be 7th defensemen. They all don't have to be here. So we do have a lot of wiggle room and a lot of maneuverability to really shape this team in any way we want to. And now we get a look at the forwards, and this is the fun stuff. This is the important stuff. So as I mentioned kind of with the Detroit method, you have your players, and then in the AHL you have the guys ready to succeed them. Well, that's essentially what we have here. David Pastrnak is our first line right wing. But again, we acquired Joshua Ho-Sang. He is his immediate replacement. And for the meantime, I'll just mention who we have here. Pasternak's our first line guy. Griffith is going to be on the second line. Yes, he's only a 77, but that's because of the morale. He's more of an 83 overall. We just need to see how he's going to do. If he can't cut it, we will trade him and get somebody else. Brian Ferlin is going to be our third line guy. Again, kind of ignore the potential. He's doing relatively well. He actually dropped an overall point or two since we called him up. And then Tyler Randall, more of a grinded out kind of guy, is our fourth line guy. And now as we shift over to the AHL, every single one of these guys that you see, the four guys right here, are direct replacements. Ho-Sang is Pasternak's replacement. Zachary Senshin is Griffith's replacement. Jeff Polofs is Ferlin's, and Blomqvist, who we acquired from Winnipeg, is Tyler Randall's on the fourth line. Again, it's the same thing. There is a little bit of a question mark here. What we can do with that, we can do whatever with that. You know what? Fuck it, I'm not editing that. Michael Bodker is our first line guy. Matt Nieto is our second line guy. Again, I said I'd take a look at him. You can see what he did in San Jose, 13 goals and 32 assists, really lighting it up for them. Hopefully that can carry over. His spot's not necessarily safe, neither is Bodker's. Joshua Bailey is our third line guy, and in our fourth line guy, I'm kind of questionable whether I want it to be Anton Bleed or Anthony Kamara. It can be either or. We have another one of these situations, an either or situation, coming up under the center role, and of course, much like the right wing, and as you'll see with the centers, everyone has their replacement. Michael Bodker's inevitable replacement, on the first line, Jake DeBrusk. The eventual replacement for Matt Nieto is Gabriel Paquin Boudreau. Third line, it could be either or, either Taylor Lear or Graham Knott. And then fourth line, Matt Mastelle. So again, everybody has their place. And now we'll get to centers, which is the really interesting one. Top line center, of course, is Patrice Bergeron. Second line, it's a battle between Zarnik and Kovalchev. We're going to keep both of them. Whoever doesn't cut it, whoever can't make it, will get traded at the draft, and we'll roll with the other one. Third line is Michael Chaput. It's a little bit of a risk. I was looking at some other players. I just couldn't manage to get any trades done, including, I think it was Max Reinhart on Nashville. And on the fourth line, Brian Boyle is still here. But again, the big question mark is between Zarnik and Kovalchev. Of course, as you would suspect, down in the AHL, everyone has their replacements. Fellhaber, I'm hoping, can be the Bergeron replacement. It's going to be tough to find out. It's going to be a challenge for him. Harkins is hopefully the inevitable replacement for Kovalchev and Zarnik, or whoever we replace if either of those two struggle. Chaput's replacements, it's going to be it's an either-or situation between two guys we already drafted this past season in Getson and Barron. And in the fourth line, Brian Boyle's replacement. These bottom three are going to battle it out. Obviously, I'd care to guess that it's going to be Murphy, bottom six forward, high potential, probably has the best chance. Tremblay has some decent potential as well. But again, these are the three guys who are hopefully one of them will be our fourth line center in the future. So I'll give you a quick look over the lines. You've seen the players that we have in the NHL and players that we have available. And I want to know from you guys, as always, what do you think of these moves? We finally blew this team up. We have a specific plan in place. It's not just, okay, draft, trade for all the picks, and then see what happens. We have a plan in place. We have the players in place. It might not result in immediate success. We might have a few more down years. But if these players all progress like we know they can, like we hope they can, we should be in a pretty good spot years from now. And if not, and this plan fails, then hey, I'll admit it. But I want to try something different. I haven't seen too many, actually I personally haven't seen an NHL YouTuber do a GM mode in this style and do this kind of franchise system, this whole organizational depth system, and I just want to see how it works. But this is the team. Give me your feedback, and if there are any specific players you think would be essentially better for the roles they are in, let me know. Again, top two forward lines are the skill guys, the high point guys. Third line guys defense is the big thing. Fourth line, it's defense and the physical category that, you know, you essentially want. Again, those top 6 guys need to carry us. These bottom pairing guys, the bottom 6, need to be the shutdown on the penalty kill, so that these guys, you know, that we don't want Bergeron on our penalty kill. Yes, he's amazing, but we need him on our power play. So if we have someone like Chaput who doesn't have the best defense, it actually dropped since we traded for him. Again, another kind of bullshit thing about the morale system. Josh Bailey, though, 4-star. Brian Ferlin actually dropped 2. I don't know how the hell he managed to drop. But again, he was already in our system. We actually have quite a few draft picks to work with, but we are kind of running low on first and second round picks. But let me know what you think of this. Is there anyone else I should look to get? Again, I haven't simmed past the trade deadline. Let me know. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next episode where we sim through the rest of the season. And who knows, maybe we'll come out of nowhere and make it to playoffs. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.